I'm a living example of a guy that does care a lot about his looks. I can't tell you how long I've looked in the mirror just worrying about how good or bad I look. It made my day good or bad. I had the long hair look, kind of to the side, and then kind of just swing your hair like that. And I started wearing Hollister and name brand clothes like Hollister and Quicksilver, Hurley, just stuff like that. I did think that wearing the right clothes would make me happy because in turn it would make people like me, it'd make girls like me, and that was really important for me too. I wanted to be accepted by girls, I wanted to look good for girls, and I thought that would bring me happiness, I thought that would bring me joy. I was very confident in myself, I was playing tennis, I was in good shape, and I got hurt. I injured my back, and of course I couldn't play tennis, I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't work out, so I would go home, I would eat like I usually do when playing tennis, which is a lot, and I started just gaining weight, and I started to notice it a year later, like, okay, I'm gaining weight, I don't fit well in my shirts anymore, I don't fit well in my pants anymore, and oh my gosh, girls are gonna see me like this, and they only like guys with like a six-pack and a nice body. And at the same time, I started getting really bad acne. And I remember dreading to wake up every morning and go to school because of how bad my acne was. Every class period, I wanted to put my head down and not look up or talk to anybody. I couldn't look anybody in the face and talk to them. It was that bad. I couldn't stand just the way I thought people thought about me. When I didn't look good, when I was at my worst, I thought I had lost everything. It really left me with a sense of emptiness and just loneliness.
We all want to look good. We all want to be attractive to others. We love when someone says, hey, nice shirt, or hey, have you lost weight, or cool jacket. That's natural to want to appear good. But the concern comes, as Ned points out, when our whole identity is wrapped up in how we look. Let's face it, we live in a superficial culture that says your value is entirely placed upon how you look. I saw a study out of Britain that said the typical woman, by the time she dies, will have looked in a mirror 2 full years of her life. And for guys, it's 6 months. In fact, it's interesting to go back to Genesis. And what was the fall of man? It was because the fruit looked good. And you know, it's not always how we look, but it's actually how we think other people think that we look. And what happens is we become enslaved to the thoughts of other people. Well, I think the solution, at least the beginning, is to take a look at Romans 12:3. Paul says this, he says, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but think of yourself with sober judgment, according to the faith that God has given you. I think when we start to see ourselves as God sees us, we get set free a little bit of the expectations and really the superficial happiness that our culture gives us. And the other thing is, I think when we stop focusing on ourselves and we start to love other people, whether in words and deeds, we become less consumed with who we are and can really experience the good life that Jesus talked about.
I'll never forget the words that they said to me and the words that caused me so much pain and so much brokenness inside. And my older brother and a brother that's younger than me just verbally abused me. I didn't have a name anymore. It was words like, fatty, come here, and you're so obese, and just things like that. Why are you eating that? Are you kidding me? And why aren't you at the gym? Why are you doing this? And they really brought me down, and I was really unhappy inside. And it was just such a hard home to live in, and it tore me up inside, and I didn't know how to deal with it. You know, I wasn't totally overweight, but I was, wasn't the tiniest one in my class or my school or whatever, and my image was destroyed because of the TV and, the runway models that had everything. I started comparing myself. Why can't I look like her, and why can't I be like her? And I hated shopping because of it. It just made me feel so bad about myself. I felt that I wasn't good enough and that I wasn't beautiful enough and that who could love me and who could marry me, and just all these thoughts of just my life going down. I started eating disorder. Just anything that I ate, I felt stick to me. You know, I figured, well, the way to lose weight is just not to eat. And so I guess, you know, I can live without food. I just wouldn't eat at lunch, and I wouldn't eat breakfast. I just wouldn't eat, and people would ask me why am I not eating, and I'd lie to them, oh, I just ate, you didn't see me eat, and I just had a snack right before lunch, so I'm not hungry. And I was definitely anorexic. It was definitely hard and definitely tough. I started cutting myself because I felt like I wasn't good enough. A lot of the times I didn't cut my wrists at all because I was trying to mask it from my parents. A lot of times I would cut my stomach, and just because I wanted to be skinnier, and I wanted to be, just feel accepted. And so that's what I tried to do, and it didn't work at all. And it still made me, I didn't feel happier at all.
The world really has an impossible standard of beauty, doesn't it? That we're supposed to have the perfect skin, have the perfect shape, be the perfect size. And when we don't meet that, and none of us do, it can make us feel a sense of real pain and despair, and sometimes even worthlessness. I just see so many girls, like we see right here in this story, where they'll turn to eating disorders and turn to cutting to try to just let that pain go. You know, my first encouragement would be, if you find yourself in that situation, you gotta get help. We can't do it by ourselves, and just talking to somebody will help to get that pain that you're trying to let go of by cutting or by eating, help it get out in a natural way. But the other thing that I think really helps in healing like this is taking that lie that our culture and really Satan has tried to put into your mind and replacing it with God's truth. Look at what Paul said in Romans. He said, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing will be able to separate us from the love of God. God's love is powerful, and God does not look at the outside. God looks at the heart, like it says in 1 Samuel 16:7. In fact, it says, the Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And I think when we can begin to really see ourselves and own that truth, it can set us free from some of the pain and guilt that other people put on top of us.
I can really tell when, like, my parents are upset because something isn't going right, like with money, like we might not have enough money for this month or something like that. That's probably whenever things are the hardest, because I'm just like, you know, why us? You know, why are we the ones going through all this? Everything that's gone on, I don't feel like my family's done anything wrong and stuff like, you know, like we've always gone to church, we've always done all that kind of stuff, been faithful, you know. Sometimes it's just like, you know, why are we the ones dealing with this? We had some debt not too long ago, and we've just been, you know, putting it off. And so this year, in the middle of the school year, we had to move to an apartment, me and my sister, my mom and my dad. And so that's just been a lot harder moving in there, and it's a lot farther away from the church and from where I go to school and everything. Just to see, like, people at school and other things, you know, get whatever they want, and, you know, they don't even appreciate it, or, you know, I feel like they don't even deserve it. Sometimes I'm like, you know, why us? You know, the things that other families that don't go to church, haven't done, you know, obviously aren't living that, you know, kind of lifestyle. You know, they have, you know, just whatever they want and whenever they want it, and, you know, it's hard whenever I'm like, or me and my sister, can we go do this? No, you know, I'm sorry, we don't have money for that. Yeah, honestly, the financial situation was the biggest thing I ever wished was different, and that I wish we could change.
When difficult times come, like Alan is experiencing, we naturally ask, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Well, it could be something that we did. Sometimes we make poor choices, and we suffer for it. But sometimes we just suffer because we live in a world that's not perfect. And bad times can happen. In fact, Jesus even said in the Gospel of Matthew, he said, the rain will fall on the righteous and on the unrighteous. The question is, how do we maintain a sense of happiness even when our circumstances don't go as we plan or as we would like? And I think an amazing example in the Bible is from the Apostle Paul. Paul is thrown in prison, and he writes the book of Philippians, knowing with a good chance he's going to die. Yet listen to what he says in chapter 4. He says, not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am in. Now, how was Paul content? Instead of focusing on what he didn't have, instead of focusing on what other people had or his circumstances, he was grateful for the things that he had. One of the things I encourage young people to do is actually sit down and make out a list of the positive things and the blessings in your life, whether it's school, friends, maybe it's financial things, maybe it's gifts, abilities, relationships, and focus on those things instead of things that we don't have. Because it's human nature to focus on the negative, but it takes a discipline to sit down and focus on the positive. And I think when we do that, the message of our culture, which says happiness is comparing ourselves to somebody else, fades, and we can just be thankful for who God has made us to be and what God has provided for us in our own lives.